In a number of spiritual paths, your deeper questions might find answers in a session in the pastor's study. You're looking for something more, so let's offer you something different. Merry meet and blessed be. I'm Iden Odinson, High Priest of the Temple of Gaia, a priest of the Universal Gnostic Fellowship, etc. And welcome to another session in a very different pastor's study. And we're in the study. Seems that the local borough has been economizing the last few years by not maintaining the storm drain system as well as they used to. And so, for the last couple of years, we've needed a sump pump. And fortunately, we have a very good sump pump. But last night, that sump pump just couldn't quite go fast enough. And so the rest of the basement is being cleaned out, including our little special corner where the altar is. No real damage, just needs to be cleaned. It is being cleaned. It's being aired out right now. Anyway, somebody accused me in the Secrets in Plain Sight of being too political. Funny thing, I didn't see how you could avoid politics if you're going to be a full participant in modern life in today's world. And while I am a firm believer, as I made it clear last time, of the separation of church and state, I also know that you can't do very much in theology without touching on politics, unless, of course, you're meeting politics head on. And that even includes tonight's topic, which is something that, I wanted to pick something purely spiritual, but practical. And I thought I had. And then I realized one of the people I had in mind when I was thinking about this, somebody I used to work with. And this was office politics, but you can find these kind of people in secular politics as well. National politics, local politics. Doesn't have to be office politics. And I certainly knew a bunch of people like that in Air Force politics. And we're talking about the person who, this is a man, so some of the things I say refer to men, but women do womanly versions of this too. A woman does not appear in GQ that often, but this guy wanted to look like he stepped out of the pages of GQ. And he always had some off-the-wall, whoopie-doodle, gee-whiz solution that was new and revolutionary, and let's try this, when we had a bunch of basic tools available that could have done it. But after all, the people who've been doing it for 20 years didn't know anything. He had all the answers. And then he escaped before anything could catch up to him. But not until he'd managed to do a fair amount of hurt. Well, those are the kind of people that I sometimes refer to as having died at probably about age 20. They may be buried at age 80, but there's that gap where they didn't live. And that brings us to the topic. Five most popular ways of committing spiritual suicide. Oh yeah, your body will be alive. You will eat, you will sleep, you will go to work, do whatever it is that you're supposed to do. You will collect your paycheck if you've got a paycheck coming to you. You will spend money if you've got money to spend. You may raise a family, have a nice retirement and all that sort of stuff, but spiritually, dead. And some people really seem to insist on committing spiritual suicide. And so let's see what some of the ways are. Oh, there are so many. We could talk about this all night and probably all the next day. But let's take what I see as being the top 5. And of course, number 5 would be to forget to do it or to skip it. Whether you're talking about your morning prayers, your evening prayers, your prayers at all, going to whatever get-together there is, forgetting to do it. Or, oh, excuse me, or skipping it. After all, we can do it tomorrow night. And tomorrow night we can do it tomorrow night. And tomorrow night we can do it tomorrow night. And we can always do it tomorrow night. Or another night. Or at a better time. You'll always be one of those, right? Until you're out of time. And what are you going to do when you're out of time? If you've been putting it off until a better time. So yeah, forgetting to do it or skipping it is a very popular way. After all, eventually you won't know that there even is another time. Number 4, do what pleases somebody else. I can guarantee you, no matter what you do in your spiritual life, there's somebody, perhaps somebody close to you, who's not going to like it, or thinks that there's a better way. So why not do it their way, and then they'll be happy. But then again, what about you? Isn't this supposed to be your spiritual life? If you let it be their spiritual life instead of your spiritual life, you're not doing it for you. So there you go. Doing it to please somebody else. Doing what pleases somebody else. And then, of course, there's the let somebody stop you. You want to do a prayer or a ritual at a particular time, and they come up with something as an excuse for why you've got to do something else. And instead of rescheduling or working out some sort of an agreement or anything like that, you just don't. Or you put it off to that better time that's going to be found later that we talked about with number 5. And then, of course, there are the interrupters. There's the one, we've talked about this before. You want to do a prayer or you want to do a meditation. And it's going along well and you really get into it, and then suddenly somebody's banging on the door as if they were the FBI or the Gestapo or the KGB. And they knew full well what you were doing and couldn't even respect it enough to let you finish. Number 2, don't dare anything. Remember the witch's pyramid? To dare, to will, to know, to keep silent. First one is to dare. Well, we got books. Now the books are supposed to be seeds to plant things that grow. But there are those who will take the books, open them up, and all they do is what's in the book. And then, of course, there are those who look towards a high priest, high priestess, priest, pastor, rabbi, bishop, whoever. And just like with number 4, they let that person spoon feed them what they're going to do spiritually. If Bishop Walter Jones didn't want me to do the rosary, I wasn't supposed to do the rosary. If Bishop Walter Jones didn't want me to be a member of the Confraternity of the Blessed Sacrament, I wasn't supposed to be a member of the Blessed Confraternity of the Blessed Sacrament. And yes, there was a Bishop Walter Jones. And so I will use him as an example. He's no longer alive, so I don't have to worry about any feedback from him. But no, don't dare anything. Do what you're spoon-fed. Do what's in a book. Don't try anything except what you're spoon-fed. And then, number 1, numero uno, the biggest and most powerful way of committing spiritual suicide. Follow the form and lose track of the substance. After all, you're supposed to be doing it, not particularly for a reason. That's the reason why how many people just show up at Christmas and Easter and they don't go through Advent or Lent among the Christians. Why? Because they remember Lent was when you can't and you give up for and that sort of stuff without any real substance as to what they're doing or why. So, follow the form, forget the substance. Pretty soon you'll forget that there's a substance, you're only doing the form, and then you can drop the form. Right? And so there you have the 5 most popular ways of committing spiritual suicide. Of course, we can look at the converse. Let's take a look at these again. Number 5, forget to do it or skip it. Number 4, do what pleases someone else. Number 3, let someone stop you. Number 2, don't dare anything. And number 1, follow the form, lose track of the substance. You know what? You do the opposite. And you've got 5 very good ways of having a downright sparkling, bright and shining, powerful spiritual life. So there you go. I'm Iden. Blessed be. Uriel's Gifts and The Secrets in Plain Sight are sponsored by the Temple of Gaia. At Temple of Gaia, we don't train you to our path. We show you how to find and pursue your own path. Above all, we tried to provide a great place to come together and to share. We're located in Collingdale, Pennsylvania, just outside of Philadelphia, and wherever cyberspace can be reached. To learn more, visit our website at templeofgaiainc.org or our meeting place in cyberspace at templeofgaia.ning.com. Thank you for coming. Feel free to return at any time. We intend to always have something for you here. Blessed be. This has been a presentation of the Wise Ones Net. Merry part and blessed be.